This episode of Violet Evergarden is another tearjerker, where Violet has to write a letter for a dying soldier, which hits a little too close to home. I'm still recovering from the last episode of Violet Evergarden, which still manages to rock me to my core every single time that I think about it. And this episode certainly came close. It was definitely a more stark and disturbing episode when compared to the last, but it was a deceptively simple episode. I mean, the entire premise really boils down to Violet going to a neighboring country which is going through a civil war. She's writing a letter for a young soldier to his family and his loved one, and he gets caught in this situation where he ends up getting mortally wounded, and she has to type it out for him, and she basically is there in his final moments, delivers the letters, and realizes she went basically through exactly the same thing with Gilbert, and getting to actually see it play out again has been instrumental in making her realize what love truly means, and it's done in such a horrifying and very disturbing way. That's really the episode right there, but man, is it done with some gusto and some amazing art style that the series has definitely made its very own. I can't praise the visuals of the show enough, but a lot of this episode certainly came from the atmosphere. The fact that we have this story which is taking place in another country, which is going on in another civil war, and that Violet is actually has the strength to go through that and actually do that and face it herself shows how much she's actually matured as a character. Maybe she is being blindly robotic as always, but her overall emotions have started to come out in the last couple of episodes, and here you can truly felt that it affected her, because she is with a dying soldier, just like Gilbert, and this soldier desperately wants to write a letter to this woman named Maria who he loves. And he's never had any way to actually properly articulate that or even tell her, and in his last moments, it's really the only thing that he can do, and this is when she sort of puts two and two together and sort of realizes that this is exactly what Gilbert was doing with her. In his final moments, he was saying goodbye and that he loved her, and this is when she finally started to truly realize, I think anyway, what love truly is. And it just works. That and just, I think a lot of the side characters in this episode were a lot of fun, like this one brazen pilot who actually was sort of taken aback by Violet and how incredibly spirited she was, and he decided to fly over enemy lines just to bring her in, where she does this amazing dropping out of the air sequence. This is when she's actually trying to find Aiden, whose team had just been completely destroyed by this sniper, and she just comes in and single-handedly beats all of them in hand-to-hand combat, and it's not too often that we see like action scenes in Violet Evergarden, but man, can this series do no wrong in anything that it does? I mean, atmosphere, storytelling, music, just making you feel the feels. Even the action scenes are pretty fantastic. I felt like it was going to go somewhere a little farther, though, because after she beats the crap out of these guys, one of their leaders actually realizes that this is this child killer from the war, and they decide, we're not going to fight against her, there's no chance, so they just decide to leave. I figured that they were going to pop up again, but no. The rest of the episode was wholly dedicated to this incredible scene of Violet and this dying soldier in this tiny little cabin, which is just being completely wrecked by a snowstorm with the smallest fire you've ever seen. And she doesn't even have her typewriter with her, but she still types in midair as he's talking, as she's going to memorize it from her movements. Of course, his overall story is going to hit her so hard she can never possibly forget it, so she's going to be able to write a letter. And when she finally does deliver the letter at the end of the episode to the parents and to the woman that he loved, it's such a heartbreaking moment because she tries to just act like the typical auto memory doll. Here's your letter, see you later, please continue to use our services, but she can't contain herself. When she's embraced by the mother of this dead soldier, she breaks down, saying that she couldn't save him, and in that moment you can tell that she's just upset about not saving him as she was as about not saving Gilbert. She realizes it in that moment. They don't say it out loud, but man, it is just displayed in a fantastic way, and seeing her start to get more emotional is definitely a good thing. It really shows that she is growing as a person, and she's truly starting to learn like the merits of the human language. It's crazy, it's well done, and frankly, it just looks really great. So, what's the rundown on this episode of Violet Evergarden? Really, I think the rest of my review spoke for itself. It was a super simple premise, but man, did it just work so well. again, like I said, I think one of the biggest strengths of the series is definitely the artwork and the character design. Every single one is just completely distinctive, and they can make you also... This is something that the series has been very good at. They can introduce a character in the episode and immediately you can start caring about them, like the soldier Aiden in this episode. You learn so much about him in such a short amount of time. You get to see him live and die. You get to see his family. All of it just contained. You get to know this character all throughout the entire episode, and most of it is told through animation, and it's done so freaking well. The big war scene when they were fighting in the forest and everybody was just getting sniped, that was a terrifying and very realistic sequence, which was very, a little more hardcore than some of the stuff that we've actually seen from Violet Evergarden, to be perfectly honest, and it was very realistic in that it was disturbing, and seeing these young soldiers die, and watching Aiden try to desperately run away, only to be basically about to be ransacked by this group of warmongers, and then that's when frickin' coming out of the sky, like frickin' Solid Snake in Metal Gear Solid 3, is frickin' Violet Evergarden, showing that she can be very ladylike, but she can also kick your ass. So yeah, just another great episode. It's weird because I liked the last episode a lot more, and typically I'm kind of an action guy, and I felt like this episode was really going to scratch that itch, but no, I'm actually appreciating more of the slower stories from the series. Does that make this a bad episode? Absolutely not. This was another fantastic episode of Violet Evergarden. In fact, maybe one of the stronger episodes of the series. I see the more we unlock Violet's actual emotions, the better the series actually tends to get. And this episode right there is certainly opening up that Violet Evergarden Pandora's box. So there it is, guys. That's my thoughts on this episode. I loved this one. Any complaint that I do have, honestly, is going to be kind of superficial. I'm giving this one a 5 out of 5. Brilliant episode from beginning to end. One of the stronger entries in Violet Evergarden, and we're getting that much closer to the end of this season. I can't wait to see what that's going to be about. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on the episode. Tell me all of them in the comment section below. Did you get the feels? Did you enjoy the storytelling? Any animated sequences you enjoyed? Let's start a discussion. I'd love to chat with you guys. So there it is. Thank you guys for watching this review. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for more awesome anime reviews. I'll see you guys next time, and as always, stay down, baby.